And Mark?
Yes?
Yeah, I'm truly sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Hey, I was wondering, I know it's not directly on your topic here.
It's all right.
But if it could somehow be proven, and I realize we can't prove anything in this life, whether you're theist or atheist.
All right.
If it could be proven that God did exist, would you worship him?
Well,
without a reason at all?
The answer is...
No, if it could be proven, suspend your disbelief.
Let's assume that it could be proven here. We want to prove, secondly, that he has some interest in humanity. You're assuming that?
Yes.
That we can contact him? You assume that?
Well, I don't know what you have to assume. I haven't thought about what proof there would be.
Well, a God who exists who is not interested... A God who exists who is not interested in the earth, why would you worship such a thing?
Yeah, what is the reasoning behind having to worship him? I mean, sure, if he created everything, okay, well, that's one thing, but...
Well, yeah, if he just left us here, if he created us and left us, why should you have any interest in him?
Right.
But he demands that, though, according to Christianity, he demands to be worshipped like a fat, arrogant sadist.
Well, he wants to have a relationship with us.
He does? Okay.
Right?
But he has the power to do that.
If you're a parent and you give birth to a child and then you just, you just leave that child and have no interest in him with that,
So you're
not building a relationship with him.
You want us to prove that, you want us to assume that it has been proved that the Judeo-Christian God exists?
That's a good question. Which God are you talking about?
Well, okay, assuming we get beyond that point and you can prove a God exists, okay. I think that's what he wants to get to step 2, but...
I think the atheist would be as interested in anybody else in finding out the nature of reality, and if this is a part of reality, he would look at it and deal with it.
I'd love to make a comment here.
Sure.
Something. I thought, for an atheist, we're atheists, but we think about what God would be like sometimes and things like that. And who says God wouldn't love an atheist? I mean, I think sometimes if there was a God and there was an afterlife, it'd be atheists getting into heaven. He'd shake your hand and say, "Congratulations, you passed the gullibility test."
There you go. We are nice people.
So, Mark, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I don't want like what you're talking about a while ago, that atheists are starting out with the presupposition that there is no supernatural.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
so how can you start out with that if you haven't?
Well, the way we can start out with that is that the idea of God was something that is put forth by a religious person, so he has the burden of demonstrating that such a thing exists. If I as an atheist am going to believe in a God, I want to see some evidence that that God exists, and the Christian over 1,000 years and more has never been able to prove it.
Can't you look at nature and see that?
I can see no God there. I see a beautiful,
nature.
wonderful, marvelous nature, but I don't see any supernatural.
And no need for a
Ordinary
supernatural.
complexity of things?
Right. This does not imply a religious God.
Right.
How did it come about then, if there's no supernatural being?
Yeah, a number of processes, physical processes in nature that science is finding out about. A lot of them are quite wonderful, and we can't really explain how they happen.
Well, that's right. Science never has answered the question of why things happen.
Why?
Really, we live in more of an age of technology.
Yes.
Science, because science really hasn't answered why.
You want to use the word God to explain why. In other words, you're making God the equivalent to what is unknown.
Yeah, what is X?
The God of the gaps. The more we know about things, the less God.
But at the same time, you want to use that unknown in a way that you claim that you know all about it, and that other people have to follow specific guidelines and not the thousands of other God ideas. It's got to be the one true Christian God of which you don't know anything about. See, it's just never going to be plausible until there's absolute evidence that this person or thing exists.
I want to mention that
absolute evidence or absolute proof?
I tend to replace the question why with how, and I think that rounds things up quite nicely. If you ask us, say, why did mankind get here, I'll pretty much try to explain how mankind got up here. I think why, the question why, I find it possible that that doesn't exist.
Well, and it's irrelevant to me. But
all right, I got a bunch of calls on the line there.
Thanks.
I appreciate your call.